Fear is the oldest tool of control. It is invisible, yet it binds the mind tighter than chains. The moment you realize how fear shapes your life, you start to see why so many are kept in darkness. From headlines to social media feeds, fear is cultivated deliberately. Every alert, every warning, every story of danger is not accidental. It is designed to focus your mind, your energy, your attention away from what truly matters. The more frightened you are, the less you question. Fear makes obedience easy. It trains the body and mind to follow instructions without hesitation, to accept limitations, and to forget your own power. They understand the human mind better than most people realize. Fear triggers chemicals, rewires focus, and narrows thinking. In fear, critical thought diminishes, imagination is stifled, and the soul becomes pliable. From childhood, subtle lessons are taught. Obey authority, avoid risk, distrust strangers, fear the unknown. Fear becomes instinctive, automatic, woven into habits so deeply that it feels like reality itself. Education reinforces it. Lessons on safety and responsibility often emphasize what can go wrong rather than what is possible. The mind is trained to anticipate disaster rather than envision opportunity. News amplifies fear constantly. Stories of crime, disease, war, and scandal dominate consciousness, conditioning the population to perceive the world as inherently dangerous. Anxiety becomes the norm. Compliance the default response. Social pressures are equally potent. The fear of judgment, ridicule, or exclusion controls behavior subtly but relentlessly. People police themselves, internalizing the same fears imposed externally. Advertising exploits fear too. Sell the product, avoid disaster, protect yourself from imperfection. Every message reinforces that you are inadequate, vulnerable, or at risk unless you comply with the prescription offered. Politics thrives on fear. Leaders and institutions often justify control by emphasizing danger. Laws, restrictions, and surveillance are presented as protective measures, but their deeper purpose is influence, not safety. The world itself becomes a stage for anxiety. Natural disasters, economic collapses, global crises, they are real, but their presentation is magnified to dominate the mind. The goal is not understanding, but immobilization. Fear is a currency. The more it circulates, the more power is concentrated in those who manipulate it. Every scared mind is a tool. Every terrified population is a resource to be managed. Religious, cultural, and ideological systems often reinforce fear, teaching obedience under the guise of morality. Belief becomes a mechanism for control rather than liberation. Fear ensures loyalty. Fear is contagious. One anxious person can influence others, creating waves of uncertainty that ripple through communities, magnifying vulnerability and obedience. The system exploits this naturally occurring phenomenon. Even entertainment cultivates fear. Stories of monsters, apocalypse, and chaos are not mere thrill. They reinforce the mind's readiness to perceive danger and accept constraints. Imagination becomes conditioned to fear. Technology amplifies fear more efficiently than ever before. Algorithms prioritize shocking content, ensuring constant exposure to threats, dangers, and crises. The brain learns to crave alerts, anchoring attention in anxiety loops. Fear isolates. It makes individuals focus inward, preoccupied with survival, safety, and personal risk. In isolation, coordination and collective action are weakened. Those in power depend on this division. False enemies are created to maintain fear. Scapegoats, ideologies, or threats are amplified to redirect anxiety away from real mechanisms of control. The mind becomes focused on danger rather than insight. Fear limits action. It makes risk-taking costly in perception, even when the reality of the risk is minimal. Opportunities are ignored, exploration avoided, and creativity stifled, while the population remains predictable. People forget courage exists. They forget curiosity, resilience, and agency. They believe threats are larger than themselves, and when a population believes it is powerless, it becomes easy to guide, mold, and dominate. Fear shifts priorities. Survival instincts override growth, exploration, and freedom. When the mind is occupied with self-preservation, it has little energy left to question authority or seek truth. The architecture of fear is subtle. Small, repeated interventions, alerts, warnings, restrictions, build a mental environment where risk is magnified and comfort is conditional. Compliance becomes easier than questioning. Those who awaken notice patterns. They see that danger is emphasized selectively, exaggerated, and sometimes manufactured. Fear is not always about survival. It is about obedience. Manipulators understand that a fearful mind is easier to predict, control, and influence. Chaos in perception is preferable to empowerment. Anxiety is a leash, and most walk it willingly. The mind learns quickly that caution is rewarded. Safety becomes a virtue. Conformity is validated. Disobedience is punished, subtly, socially, or materially. Fear becomes a moral compass for the unseeing. Even communities are reshaped by fear. Groups fracture, trust erodes, and cooperation diminishes. Fear teaches isolation, obedience, and distrust, which strengthens the hidden structures of power. Fear obscures truth. When you are terrified of what is visible, you fail to investigate what is hidden. Questions are abandoned. Curiosity is subdued. Knowledge becomes inaccessible. But a few notice the mechanism. They feel the unnatural weight of constant anxiety. They sense the orchestration, the pattern behind the panic, the deliberate amplification of dread. These few stand on the edge of awakening. They see that the fear they have been fed is not proportional to reality. They see the strategy, and realization brings both terror and hope. Hope, because once the design is understood, it can be resisted. Terror, because the system will fight to maintain control, and fear is deeply embedded in human nature. The first step is awareness. The next step is courage. And the third, the most dangerous yet necessary, is action. Understanding the machinery of fear is not enough. It must be confronted. Those who do not confront it remain captives. Those who do begin the path toward freedom, clarity, and influence over their own lives, instead of being puppets of orchestrated terror. The system wants you afraid, and if you remain so, it wins. But the truth is hidden in plain sight, waiting for those willing to face what others are too scared to question. Fear is not random. It is cultivated, sharpened, and released with precision. Every crisis amplified, every danger emphasized, every shadow magnified. It all serves a larger plan. A plan that thrives on your obedience. The real reason they want you to live in fear is control. A fearful population doesn't rebel, doesn't question, doesn't dream of freedom. Instead, it clings to authority, begs for protection, and surrenders autonomy willingly. In fear, people accept chains as if they were shields. They trade liberty for the illusion of safety, never realizing the safety offered is another form of imprisonment. And once that trade is made, it is rarely undone. When fear dominates, truth becomes irrelevant. People don't want facts, they want comfort. Leaders exploit this by presenting themselves as saviors, while quietly tightening their grip over every aspect of life. The manipulation is so effective that people begin to self-police. They silence their own doubts, ridicule those who question, and enforce the very lies that enslave them. Fear makes the oppressed their own jailers. Even freedom is redefined under fear. It becomes permission rather than a right. People no longer seek independence but the approval of those who claim to protect them. This is the greatest illusion of all. The system thrives because it convinces you that fear is natural, unavoidable, and necessary. But what if fear is the mask? What if the constant anxiety you feel is not reality, but design? Those who wake up begin to see it. They recognize how crises are exaggerated, how narratives are controlled, how fear is recycled to maintain dependence. Awakening is painful, but it is the first step toward liberation. They want you to believe that you are fragile, but you are not. They want you to think you are powerless, but you are not. The truth they fear most is that the human spirit is stronger than fear itself. Every moment you resist their narrative, you weaken their grip. Every time you question, you reclaim power. Every truth uncovered is a fracture in their wall of deception. That is why they fight so hard to keep you afraid. If fear is the cage, then awareness is the key. And courage, the willingness to act despite fear, is the weapon that breaks the lock. This is the knowledge they never wanted you to understand. Because once you see through it, their power crumbles. Fear no longer enslaves you. You begin to stand taller, think clearer, and act bolder. That is the moment they can no longer control you. This is the real reason. Fear is their foundation. Without it, they are nothing. Without it, the system collapses. And that collapse means your freedom, something they have worked tirelessly to prevent. But the decision lies with you. Remain trapped in the endless cycle of fear, or choose to awaken and see the world as it truly is. Few dare, but those who do change everything. The truth is dangerous, yes. It may isolate you, unsettle you, even terrify you at first. But it is also liberating. Because once you see the machinery of fear, you are no longer inside it. You are above it. And that perspective changes everything. It allows you to resist, to build, to create a future not dictated by manufactured dread, but by your own choices and vision. This is the path they never wanted you to find. They want you weak, but awareness makes you strong. They want you silent, but truth gives you a voice. They want you compliant, but courage turns you into a force they cannot stop. Now you understand why fear surrounds you. It is not to protect you, but to control you. And the moment you see that, you are already beginning to escape their grasp. The question is, will you step forward, or will you allow their design to dictate the rest of your life? The answer is yours, but the time to decide is now. You are not here by accident. If you've listened this far, it means you are searching for something more, for the truths buried beneath their lies. And that search makes you different from the rest. This channel exists for people like you, for seekers, questioners, and those who refuse to live trapped in fear. Here, the forbidden truths are revealed, the hidden patterns exposed, the silences broken. But to keep walking this path, you must stay connected. The system will do everything to distract you, to drown this message out, to keep you from returning. That is why your next step is critical. Subscribe now. Join the circle of those who refuse to be ruled by fear. Every video takes you deeper into the truths they try to bury. Every word another step toward freedom. Do not let them win. Do not let fear define you. Take action, take courage, take the truth. Subscribe and claim the knowledge they never wanted you to have. The system survives only if you remain afraid. Break their spell. Choose freedom. The truth is here, waiting for you to step into it.